Okay, once again, good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 167 of the On Air Advocate. Where at the On Air Advocate, we look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I am the host and producer of the On Air Advocate, and I am super excited if you are joining us here this early Friday morning, or whether you are catching this on the replay. Now, as always, if you think any of the content that we are talking about could be helpful for anyone in your network or your circle, please hit the share button and share the love with others. Well, as you guys know, we are in our Hope series, and this is businesses as well as organizations and foundations that provide hope and help for those within our communities. And I am so excited to have here this morning Dr. Effiong. She is a wife, a mother, a pediatrician, and the founder of Kits of Hope, which is a project of her foundation. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on.
And you know what? I'm going to let you do a better job of introducing your name because I probably hammered your last name a bit. And tell the folks just a little bit about your background and yourself.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Dr. Effiong, and I'm a wife, mom. I have 3 kids. I'm a pediatrician in Oklahoma. I work in a rural area, and I've worked there for about 5 years now. And so, I got to a point in my career where I started to feel like I needed to do more, or there was something else I was supposed to be doing. Not that I wasn't doing enough already, right? But I just felt like something was missing. And so about the same time, I started taking some classes on child abuse, how better to recognize it and treat it. And then I realized that, wait a second, a lot more of my patients coming in seem to be coming in for physicals, entering the foster care system. And so that got me thinking, and then I started asking my foster parents more about the kids, and how they show up and what their challenges are with regards to the kids they're taking care of. And one thing I kept hearing over and over and over was that the kids show up on their doorsteps with absolutely nothing. And mostly because they're coming from homes where drugs were used. So now they're taking them out of the homes and they have no belongings. So in addition to the fact that you just pull the child out of the only place they know, their parents, regardless of what the parents were doing, those are their parents. And they came out with none of the things they call their own. That's another whole layer of trauma for a kid. And as you know, one of the first words a kid says is mine. So you just took all of their stuff away. So I kept hearing this over and over, and it just wouldn't leave me alone. So I thought, I'm just going to do something about it. Why not? So that's how Kits of Hope was born. So our goal and our mission is to share love and hope by giving foster kids going into the foster care system. We put together a bag with all brand new things. So for example, we put a baby bag together because, believe it or not, babies get taken from their parents at the hospital, and of course they have nothing, and they get taken to a foster parent. So in the baby bag, for example, there is baby blankets, baby socks, soap, everything a foster parent would need to take care of a baby the first 24, 48 hours. And also, and then in the children's and the teens bags, there's blankets, there's socks, there's books, there's coloring stuff, there's teddy bears, toys, things just, and hygiene products, things that they can call their own. And in every bag, we put a handwritten note telling the child that they're loved and they're valued and that there is hope. And we understand that they're going through a hard time, but they can thrive in spite of what's happened to them. And we are giving these bags to DHS services, which is Department of Health Services. So, and also counseling centers and agencies that see kids when they're in the system. Another project we're also working on is Fostering Adventure. So it's a book project because, as you know, books transport you out of what's going on. And it's so vital for kids to read because that is a passport for them to become anything they want to be and they can be if they can read. And so we're going to be giving books to child advocate workers that go into their homes to see them, the foster kids. And so every time they go, they have something to give the child. So they're not just going empty-handed. It's like an icebreaker, plus it's a way for the child to build their own library. So those are the two programs we're working on. And the reason, in addition to that, I mean, I felt like one of the most profound kids I met that really strengthened my why I needed to do this was a 4-year-old boy I met. He's a patient of mine, and he had been in 17 homes in 6 months. If you can believe that, I couldn't. I was like, how?
How old?
Does a 4-year-old go to 17 different homes in 6 months? So, but he shows up in my office and they say he has hyperactive issues. But of course, any kid would be hyperactive if they've gone through that layer of, that's traumatic already. I mean, from one to the next to the next. And so throughout the visit, it was 15 minutes long. And all he kept saying to me was, give me a hug, please. So I literally hugged this kid the entire visit. That's all he kept asking me to do. He would just keep coming up to me, please hug me, please hug me. And I'm like, the kid doesn't have hyperactive issues. The kid just needs love. Right. And he just needs a stable environment. And so I've never forgotten that. And on the days when I feel like, okay, maybe I should just stick to my medicine. Right. I'm like, that keeps me going because
such a need.
Yeah.
Such a need. And I am so happy that you approached us about being on, because like I was telling you before the segment aired, you are the first segment that is on about foster care. And even though that's a little bit outside of the scope of some of the different abilities and some of the medical topics that we talk about, it's so relevant. And think of all of the children that are also in foster care doing this moving around, that doctors, haven't even diagnosed them with having let's say a different type of a syndrome or possibly a chronic illness. And, then they're going shifted. I wonder statistically how many things get missed in kids. I mean, like you're talking about that 4-year-old boy. If you've gone to 17 homes, do you really think that you've had any kind of continuity of care, of medical care?
No.
To know if there's any, I'm saying, underlying health issues. And so.
Oh, yes. And that's a big one, because a lot of times the records don't always follow. So I may see a kid and say, well, do you know anything about the kid? And the foster parent doesn't know anything about the kid. And I have no records and I'm just going blind and just, okay, let's see what happens. So yes, you're absolutely right. A lot of things can get missed. And a bigger thing for me is not just looking at, okay, what the kid is doing. Like, why are you doing the question is, why is he doing what he's doing? Why is he jumping up and down and can't sit still? And maybe that's just a defensive survival mechanism for him, just because he doesn't know what else to do. I mean, he doesn't know how else to express himself. So it's no longer, what are you doing? It's what happened to you? Because now you have to take into consideration what's going on, what's really going on. So I no longer just see kids as, oh, you have a problem, or you have a behavior problem. Now, the first question is, what's happening to you? What happened to the parents? And so because of that, I started doing more research, and I became aware of what's it's called ACEs. So ACEs stands for Adverse Childhood Events. So basically things like substance abuse in the family, physical or sexual abuse, if a parent went to jail, if there was anyone that hurts you in any, if you witness violence, and all of those things have a profound physical effect on us as human beings. And that's something a lot of people don't realize. So if you had something happen to you as a child and maybe you bury it and you never like really address it, it shows up, literally puts you at, like, if you have 4 or more of those things I mentioned, it puts you at 12 times more likely, you're 12 times more likely to kill yourself. You're more than 3 times more likely to have heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure at a younger age than somebody who didn't go through all of those things. So being aware, parents being aware of those things and what's happened to them and what their triggers are, and unhealed things in their past will actually, if they do become aware of it, then it heals them, and they can heal their children, and they're less likely to make decisions that will send their kids to foster care. So you see, there's a direct link with
There's
all of this.
a cycle that
It's a
happens.
cycle
And
that has.
that's where in our school systems, you know,
Mhm.
them starting actually curriculum for mental health is so important. And I know only a few
Yes.
schools have started that now. But I mean,
Mhm.
if we don't take care and we don't teach from a young age that when traumatic incidences happen, you need help and get rid of
Mhm.
all the stigma around that,
Exactly.
you know,
Yes.
then we end up, that cycle keeps repeating itself. And I would
Correct.
gather that probably 9 out of every 10 people that are out in America could say there's some cycle in their family that's continuing.
Mhm.
You
That's
know, they all
correct.
could be different, but if you make
Yes.
a list of 20 different things that cycle has continued, and maybe they're the first ones to stop it because they're aware of it, that it was a
Mhm.
cycle, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. And what you just said is so important. It's not those people over there. It's everybody.
Hmm.
Anybody can have adverse events happen to them. Now the thing is, do you heal from it, or do we just bury it and then move on, and then it's affecting what we do, what we say, how we treat our kids, and all our decisions? I mean, there's lots of research. I started also talking to companies and agencies and telling them there is a direct link between ACEs and how people are productive at work, how retention of workers in the workplace, all of those things are directly linked. Because if you're chronically depressed and you don't even know you're depressed, then you're less likely to show up to work. You're less, even if you show up to work, you're less likely to give your all because you're just there and
Right,
not really. And yes, you may not say you're depressed because you don't necessarily look depressed, but
right.
things that you haven't healed will keep manifesting as you not doing well. And then it's just a cycle, and then it just continues.
And
So
do you have any current, I know I didn't ask you this before to pull this, but any current statistics on in like the United States, how many kids are in foster care, or even from a few years back, do you have any idea about how many kids are in the system?
close to 500,000.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And for example, in my state, there's close to between 9 and 10,000. And the number just keeps growing because where there's but and then okay, I have statistics from Ohio where we're having the opioid crisis. So their rates of foster care just went up about 74% since 2010.
Mm.
So can you imagine all those kids? And same thing with West Virginia. They're really struggling because of the opioid crisis there. And so all of those things are linked. And back to statistics, you were asking about them aging out.
Yeah.
Um, Almost 23,000 kids will age out of the system, and automatically 1 out of 2 of them will be homeless, like just off the bat. It's like
Mhm.
very few of them are able to find a place to stay because they've gone from place to place and haven't had that continuity of care. And they're less likely to go to college. It's less than 20% of them that go to college. And the rates for them, the statistics for them just don't look good. So I'm trying to start on the preventive, like early on,
Yes.
talking to my parents and just saying, listen, it's painful, but we have to dig deep and heal ourselves. We have to break this cycle somewhere before you
Right.
have these kids. And okay, yes, you have the kids. So now what do we do? So I teach them that, and just
Yeah.
hoping we can make a difference.
Oh, you're already making a difference. I mean, and just also being in your community and campaigning and driving awareness towards this makes a difference. I mean, as I was telling you, I just saw that on the news the other day here in our state, which I live in Wisconsin. That's why it's -8. I hope it's warmer. I didn't ask you how warm it was by you. Is it -8?
No, not close to that. It's in the 30s. Thank you.
But in our state, I saw on the news that they just opened a housing. It's kind of like an apartment complex that is for those that age out of the foster care system, for them to have, I don't know what the perimeters are, the application process, or
Mm-hmm.
how long they get to stay. I would assume that it would be like a rotation, like they have a year or something to stay there. But I don't think, just like so many times we look at different conditions and whatnot, that society doesn't really, it's kind of like it's shoved under the carpet, it's shoved under the rug. You don't, you don't talk
Yes.
about it, very often, or you don't think about it because it's not in front of you. That is something that, have people ever thought about that? How many people think about that there is these 500,000 kids that are in foster care, more than half of them, 250,000 kids, that go through the system, will age out and not have a place to live, will become homeless, not by choice.
Not by choice, no. I mean,
Not by choice.
they didn't have anything to do with this. It's just
Right.
their parents.
Right.
So, yeah, it's
I mean,
unfortunate.
and I don't know if those have you heard anything? I don't know where that project started here in our state, but have you heard of other states that are starting that are developing housing?
Yes, I've heard about a place in my state that's really, I mean, there's a growing movement to addressing ACEs and becoming more trauma informed. So yes, it's slowly starting, but we need more of that. Yes, I know there's one place in Oklahoma that has a home for kids like that, but I don't think it's long term either. It's maybe gives them like a year for them to get themselves together and take classes and all of that. And
Before
get
they
themselves together, and then they have to move on. But more of that is needed. Like, I mean, and even just talking to starting with we ourselves, like how can we, when you see teaching your kids how to be kind to other kids, I mean, it starts there. You don't know which kid is in foster care. And I mean, kids can be mean to each other. So all of those different, it's so wide ranging. I mean, but these kids just need to know that they are valued, that they are loved, that they are not forgotten, which a lot of times they are. And it's just, they have the label, the foster kids, and they're
Yeah,
still human beings. They're
right.
kids.
And everyone,
Yes.
with this today being Valentine's Day, as we talk about, if you've looked at, all of the graphics and things that are put, really, it boils down to everybody wants to be loved.
Yes, it's true. That's a basic tenet. Everybody
It's
it's a need, actually. It's
the
not even
need,
a want.
yes.
It's a need.
Yes.
Yes.
I
So
read one time that you need like 4 hugs a day for survival. You need like 8 hugs a day to flourish, like 12 hugs
true.
a day. And whether there's fact to that, obviously, I don't know if anyone's ever passed away from not having a hug. But I mean, it really, when people are writing things about that, how impactful it is. And like you were talking about that little 4-year-old boy, all he wanted was
Was
a
a hug. That's it.
hug.
He didn't want a toy. He didn't want a book. He wanted a hug.
Yes.
Yes.
And so how important that really is. So with your foundation that you have created now, Kits of Hope, um, what are ways that people can get involved with that?
Okay, so right now, we have the Facebook page. We're working on the website. Facebook page, you can go on there and donate. So we're a 501c3, and all of your donations are tax deductible. And 100% of it will go towards putting bags together and sending them across the state. So yes, we're working right now in Oklahoma, but I mean, I plan to expand this so that people can start creating local projects where they are, like creating the bags where they are, and
Right.
giving them to the DHS offices, because I'm not sure there's any state that will say no if you show up with something to give a child that will put a smile on their face. And
Right.
so, yes, so if anyone is interested in working with us, if you just contact me on the Facebook page, and then I think if you want to do a local project where you are, that we can easily set up. And then if you're in Oklahoma, yes, you can go on the page or you can donate on there, and 100% of our proceed of whatever we get goes towards the kids.
And you were saying that you also have, like, if they're local, or even if somebody is listening and let's say they work for a soap manufacturer or something
Mhm,
like that, that you have like a supply list that's up. So if
mhm.
someone didn't monetarily want to donate, they could donate
Yes.
some things on the
The
supply.
supplies, yes, for sure. And socks and underwear and all of that. The kids need them because, like I said, they literally leave with what's on their backs. So,
Right, right. And so when we're done with this segment, I'm going to have you drop those links below in the comments so that they're easy to find. If
okay.
there's any lists or anything like that. But as you were saying, that anybody can start this in their state, and you definitely can give them some guidance on that and help
Yeah.
them with that to put some things together. And it definitely is such a needed project, but something that's attainable. When we think about, because I mean, if there is no limit and you start something and you can only put together 10 bags a month or 5 bags a month, it's
Yes.
5 more bags than you had before.
That's correct. I've been partnering. For example, I went to talk to the churches in the town where I live, and I asked them, can every church just commit to giving bags? Every church pick a month of the year. And it was amazing. They all picked a month of the year. And so that's another, we're going to have bags every month from churches. And so it's a great thing. It's a great community building thing and team building, and great for the kids to do, to know that they can give back even as their kids. I have the kids actually make the cards to their fellow kids. And so that's a great thing for, if you teach your kids now to give back, then that's who they'll grow up to be.
That's
So,
right.
yeah.
That's right. I love that. I love that. So I just thank you so much for being here this morning with us. Thank you for all that you're doing within and outside of your community. I would love, you are the starting point for me for this driving of awareness towards foster care. I would love if anybody is listening today, or any of your fellow partners that would like to share more statistics in different states, in their state, about foster care, and really help on my end the way the On-Air Advocate can, to drive awareness towards this much needed topic.
Thank you. It's my honor to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, so with that, thank you guys for joining us this Valentine's Day morning. I will be back again at 9 a.m. to spread some more love and continue our Hope series. If you want to know any more about the On-Air Advocate, you can head on over to onairadvocate.com and you can find all of our resources there. Or you can head up to the top of this Facebook page, hit the blue button, and that will let you into our private group. So once again, thank you so much for being here this morning. I so appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
I would love to hear how progress is going. So,
of course, I'll keep you posted. Yes.
Yes. Keep us posted. Keep us posted. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great start to your morning. Bye-bye.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye.